4-H market goat, class 3. Market goats weighing from 87 to 102 pounds. Our first exhibitor is Carson Riley Gilroy from San Martin 4-H. Exhibitor number 2 is Kylie Axford from Sunset 4-H. Exhibitor 3 is Amelia Tanner from Sunset 4-H. Exhibitor 4 is Emily Gonzalez from Sunset 4-H. Exhibitor number 5 is Alexa Huber from Sunset 4-H. And exhibitor 6 is Carrie Oxford from Sunset 4-H.
In class 3 of the 4-H market goats, the wether to start this class off with, and really the top pair of wethers, are just powerful individuals. The wether we start the class off with, really a massive, wide-based, really opened up and pulled apart individual. Definitely very massive down his top, really expressive in how he's made. You look at him from behind, ultra wide-based, big boned, a really stout-made individual. To make him just a touch better, yeah, we could probably level him out just a touch out his hip, but most boar goats tend to have that little slope and angle to how their hip set is. But he's certainly an individual that's very tough to beat, really wide and really massive. The wether that comes into into second place, one that, again, in terms of muscularity, very comparative to the wether above him. Just doesn't quite have as much length of body to him, isn't quite as nice in the profile, gets a little bit rounder in his hip as you look at him. But in terms of mass and expression of muscle, might be, one of the stoutest, most powerful goats of the day. Just, again, needs to be a notch prettier through his front end, could be a touch more elevated to be more competitive with the wether ahead of him. But two really nice goats to start the class off with. In third place, another goat that you really appreciate from the standpoint of muscle, has some width, has some thickness, has some power as you look at him down his top. Gets a little bit flatter through his lower leg as you look at him from the side profile. Gets a little bit more opened up in his front end. Maybe not quite as smooth through his breastplate as the two wethers ahead of him, but certainly a nice goat to go into third. And then the spotted goat that falls into fourth, one that just in terms of quality is a pretty big drop-off. Has a little bit more of that kind of a dairy influence to him, so he doesn't quite have as much power and muscle, but he certainly has a lot of look and balance. He's long-bodied, he's big-scaled, he's extended through his front end. You appreciate that about him. But they are meat animals. He is the flattest in terms of his muscle shape, has the least amount of thickness and width as you look at him from behind. 4 really nice goats in that top 4 end. So we get into fifth place, another of the kind of the dairy influenced kind of a goat, black and white wether here. Again, really tall, really long and extended as he's made, but he's a wether that just needs to have a lot more muscle to be more competitive with the goats that are ahead of him. Gets really sloped out his hip, is a lot more narrow and peaked down his top. One that you just got to have a lot more muscle shape with him. And then the goat, the black-headed goat to round out the class. I think when you compare him to the two that are ahead of him, yeah, he's deeper sided, he's bigger bodied, he's rounder in terms of his muscularity. He's a little bit wider through his hip. Really a goat that just is starting to get way past his prime. He's way fatter. He's way flatter in terms of his leg shape. He's really starting to load up in terms of finish as you look at him through his front end. Just a goat that needs to be just a notch trimmer to be more competitive today. Again, really nice group of goats in this third class.